All right, we are live. Maricela, do you want to start us off?
Hi, everybody. This is Maricela Ian, and I'm here with Alison, Ellis, and as well joining us today is Jenna Sherlock. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and she is the creator of Dash of Pride, a website where LGBTQIA couples can shop and find support as they plan their weddings. And Alison?
We are very excited to have Jenna here today to talk. It's the end of Pride Month. We're coming to the end of Pride Month, but at Wedding and Event Vendor Alliance, we really are committed to inclusivity all year long. So we didn't need to just cram this into June. We're going to extend our Pride celebration throughout the year. And we're really, really lucky to have Jenna here to sort of close out the month, to have some acknowledgement around the fact that we as wedding vendors need to show up for LGBTQIA plus couples, and we can do better. And so Jenna experienced when planning her own wedding, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, yes, 2 years ago. Caught me on the
that, that the wedding industry is quite heteronormative and not inclusive in a way that's truly visible and feels genuine. And so, Jenna, you started a business. Why don't you tell us about your journey here?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. My journey started as 2 years ago, planning the wedding. And wasn't really thinking of starting a company, but we were discriminated at one venue and told that our kind could not get married, and that kind of put us back on our heels. It was very unexpected. I moved out here to Portland, which is a very inclusive city, and so wasn't prepared when I was out looking for venues with my wife. But we were just far enough outside of Portland that the discrimination is still there. And so that happened, and we started to design our wedding. We were looking for Mrs. and Mrs. products, and we were just kind of a little leery to reach out over the internet to, people on Etsy and see if they would design things for us, because you just don't know who's on the other side of that. So that made us uncomfortable, especially after already experiencing discrimination. You kind of slow down. Yeah. So we ended up buying two products, Mrs. and Mrs., Mr. and Mrs., to create the Mrs. and Mrs. And that's when I was like, this can't be the case. I did a lot of research, and there just really wasn't anything out there for the LGBTQ plus communities. So I went on a year-long journey of developing the company and launched last May. So here we are today.
That's amazing. And they always say like the best products and the best companies come when there's a need that's not being met. And it's almost shocking at this stage that this need would not have already been filled. And so, yeah, the idea that you'd have to buy two sets of something to get your customization, you filled a need. You found a hole and you filled it. And that's really great.
Absolutely. And I think there's some people are starting to get on board. And some websites you can find it, but I felt like you had to click 5 million times to try to find it. It's not obvious. It's not apparent. Or they were designing one-off things. It wasn't a one-stop shop where you felt like this was your store and you were welcome and you could custom design whatever you wanted without question. So that's where Dash Pride really is different than most of the stores.
It's amazing.
Honest, and on top of that, you did mention that although you found, some products on Etsy, you're reaching out to certain individuals, you just don't know how they're going to take or receive you in general. And so, the people who are at Dash of Pride and the companies, and you are vetting the individuals who are selling those products. And so just creates a sense of security as well. And so that's just fantastic for your community. I think it's just great.
I think also the most important aspect and what makes Dash of Pride different is a lot of people, when they say they're allies, stop at the LNG part of our community and focus and highlight the lesbians and the gays and leave off the rest of our community. So I have pushed really hard to be inclusive of all, and especially with a highlight on the non-binary transgender community that often gets left out of the dialogue. So that's really important to me as well, to ensure that they can feel seen and heard and welcomed.
That's such an important point. Yeah.
And you do this also through the companies that you donate to on your website. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, so we knew that it was really important to give back and make sure that we were helping charities push our agenda and highlight the LGBTQ plus community. So we've reached out to a bunch and partnered with a few. It Gets Better project, which is all about showing the community that it does get better, get through this part, because we go through so much as a community and as an individual to get to where we are today. And it's not easy. And they need to see people that are, on the other side of the trauma that sometimes we all face coming out and our journey with sexuality and gender. So the It Gets Better project, I just partnered with Family Equality, which fights for LGBTQ plus families, which is really important because I don't think people understand how hard it is to design and create your family as a member of the community. It's costly, it's emotional, it's not covered, it's not accepted. So that's a huge charity. And also the Transgender Education and Legal Defense Fund is the other one, because I really have a passion for representing the transgender community. They're so underrepresented and often the highest attacked part of our community. And I think there's a lot of policies being passed in this country right now that aren't putting a face to the community. It's all about the words and not really understanding they're affecting human lives and how impactful that is to them. So I've become a huge advocate for the transgender community.
That's fantastic. That's a really great example for us and the work we're doing too, is, always be reaching for who else can we include? Who else needs this safety of representation and being seen and heard, and understanding that we all, as allies, as advocates, really value the diversity that every community brings, that everyone deserves to get married and have a happy life. And I love that your charities actually extend to beyond just like into the family planning, right? Like that's what happens after they get married. So they buy a cute cake topper from you, and then you in turn are donating to charities that are going to help people build families. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing you're doing here.
Thank you.
So how do we become more inclusive? That's something that I think a lot of allies that, they show up during Pride Month, right? Because you're an ally. So now is your cue to show up. How do they show up better, right? How can we all show up better, more visibly, in a way that is more actually creating that feeling of safety? Like, I don't want to push you too far on your own personal story of being discriminated against or feeling not represented. But in terms of like from your own experience, like what do wedding vendors need to know that maybe they don't realize about them, about not being represented? How does that actually impact you when you're planning your wedding?
Oh, where do we begin with that? The industry is extremely heteronormative. So there is so much that needs to be done. The best thing that I can say is start with your language. Start with your language in your forms. Start with your language on your website. Start with your language and how you talk to your couples. don't assume everybody's a bride or a groom or that they're going to go by Mr. or Mrs. Understand people's pronouns and really ask and talk to your couples and treat them individually. I think this will benefit everybody on a whole, regardless if you're, focusing and welcoming the LGBTQ plus community. I think that our society on a whole is shifting, and you have now, if you look at a wedding venue, they have a bridal suite and then a area where the grooms get ready. The bridal suite is this ginormous room where everybody can fit in and all the girls can get ready. Well, guess what? Today's day and age, I'm sorry, the men want to get ready too, and they want to have their friends with them, and they want to do their thing. And so I think venues need to catch up and have a room for each part of the couple, and just call it, we'll have to think. I don't think I've nailed down an actual name, but just a get ready suite and have two of them. Let's be honest. Everybody wants their time and to shine and do their thing. So I think that's really important. But start with your pronouns. I think that's huge. If you don't have your pronouns on your social media, put them up. Instagram has it easy now. Get them there if you don't have them. My huge push too is pronouns are super important. So as a wedding industry pro, wear a pronoun pin. We have them at Dash of Pride so that when you roll up, that's the one thing that says, hey, I'm listening. I'm here. I want to pay attention to you. You're important to me, is the pronouns, because that's the number one thing that gets mistaken. So bride and groom is always a problem. Pronouns are always a problem, and the Mr. and Mrs. So it all comes down to language. How are you using your words? What does it look like? Check yourself everywhere. And that's how you'll start to become a true ally.
That's a really important point. Marisela, you always say, like, when everyone's included, we all benefit. Like, the more inclusive we are, the more we show up for everybody, the more everybody benefits, including the business and the clients, right? Because everyone feels seen. You make such a great point. The pronouns, sharing pronouns, asking for pronouns is a signal, right? We talk about it a lot as being the first step, because it's like it's a little flag that you're waving that says, I see the need to express this, or to allow you to express this to me, right? Mm-hmm. And then we go to our website, and then we see all these gendered phrases that we use, right? We try to clean that up, right? You go, that's not as inclusive as I want to be. But you brought up something that I feel like people don't say enough, which is, and then in real life, in person also, don't just come at people with bridal this. I do often, as a wedding florist, I use the word bridal bouquet so many times, right? And it's an accurate description of what it is. But I do find myself even just trying to pull back on that a little bit, even just calling it bouquet for, and then the person's name, right? Just try to just have moments of being that inclusive, because that little signal of inclusivity, or the opposite, a little signal that's not like, this is bridal only, right? Or because it's habit, or even because it's accurate. Just because it's accurate that it is a bridal bouquet doesn't mean that it's the way I should be talking about it. So anyway, I appreciate that, maybe on a personal level too, just that we have to, it can't just be on our website we're inclusive, but then in real life, we revert back to old habits.
Yeah, and I think we're not trying to get rid of bride and groom. I'm a feminine lesbian. I go by bride. I'm totally fine with that. So you can call it a bridal bouquet for me. But you have to be strong enough to understand that if that person, so when you're originally talking to them, find out if they go by bride. And if they don't, then you have another word to use for the bouquet. And that's what we need to come up with, is couples bouquet, or, there's got to be another word or whatever. Ask them what they go by. They might be a broom, and say, okay, this is the broom's bouquet. And that's how you can clarify it. So asking those questions, opening the dialogue, and being prepared to make that change is really important.
Alison has a very large group of floral entrepreneurs. And I think this would be a great question. What is an alternative language that we can use that you can maybe send out to the group?
Yep.
A little challenge for you out there, Alison.
I'd probably just be like, wedding bouquet. Revert to wedding sweets, wedding bouquet. Because, when we want to, the reason we put these qualifiers is because we're trying to be specific. We're trying to appeal to your identity, where you go, oh, that's me. Oh, bridal suite. Oh, that's me. Right?
What if you have two brides?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
We have to be clearer that if we really want to speak to everybody, then maybe it doesn't have to be bridal. It's wedding. It's, honeymoon. It's, whatever other, you can come up with other words. And the venues are a place where we hear that repeatedly, don't we, Maricela, that, people really do, they get to the venue, and that's where they're confronted with non-inclusive, this, that, the other thing. It's like a snowball effect of the bride goes here, the groom goes here, here's the boys and here's the girls, and it's not cohesive and inclusive. Right. So,
and as you mentioned, it's not equal either in that sense. When it is bride and groom, usually the grooms aren't getting much. So even if a venue is really trying to be inclusive, the space itself is not necessarily going to be equal for both parties anyway. And it does take time. I will say that it does take time to make these changes. And it's very important to make that time. I went through and changed a planning checklist that I have for our couples. And I went through, and it's, hundreds of items that you go through an entire year. But the standard checklist that was on this platform that I use was heteronormative. And everything was bride and groom. And so I had to go through and change absolutely everything. And yes, it took me a couple of hours to do that. But now I feel really good about what I am, providing our couples, regardless of their backgrounds. And, even our couples who are hetero couples appreciate that as well, because you are being inclusive for everybody.
And we do have a wedding checklist and a budget guide specifically for the LGBTQ plus community on our website. So if anybody needs one and wants to see one that's a little bit more in line and open, there you can grab that off the website as well.
I've noticed that. So those are in your shop, but they're actually free, aren't they?
Yes.
Like you can
put it free.
I love it. It's so good. I love a good freebie. I'm a big fan of a good freebie. I think that's awesome. So tell us a little bit, you have, when we are as wedding vendors looking to show up, right? We think we're allies, right? And then for those of us who are trying to dig in a little deeper, you realize, being an ally is great, but you can do more. You can actually show up more intentionally. So you have a brand advocacy program can you tell us about this? This is like, if you want to go a little bit further, Dash of Pride will take you a little bit further as an ally.
Absolutely. So we have the brand advocacy program where wedding pros can sign up, and it started as an affiliate. It's an affiliate link. So if you promote our products, you'll get a percentage back. But a lot of people are taking that percentage and donating it back to our charities. And so that's where you can really show up. So you get on the brand advocacy program. And when you do that, when you sign up, you're committing to inclusivity for all. You're saying, I accept everyone. I will do a wedding for anyone. The LGBTQ plus community is 100% welcome with me. Now, I see a lot with my wedding professionals that they've signed up for the inclusivity for all. There are wonderful people. I've talked to them all, and I know all of them. Yet sometimes I get to their websites and they're still not 100% there. So I'm working on another program, which is going to be a certificate program where we analyze your social media, your website, your forms, and you become certified through Dash of Pride, which means that you are inclusive for all. And so I think that's the difference is we can say that we're inclusive for all. And I think that's the first step to say, I'm going to welcome you and I'm not going to deny you and I'm here for you and I'm an ally. The next step is really to really be intentional and prove that. So that's where the certificate program, and I educate through the weekly emails. When you become a brand advocate, you get weekly emails that are educational and really trying to get you to think of how you can be more inclusive and push you. But that's as far as my education is going to go. There are programs out there that will take you through, hours of watching video and everything like that. I want you to do the work. I want you to step up and say, I'm going to be inclusive and this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to prove myself. So that's how I see the brand advocacy program is you sign up and become a brand advocate and commit to inclusivity for all. With that, you get the weekly educational emails. I have been highlighting my brand advocates through Dash of Pride, but I'm going to be starting a Dash of Pride Wedding Pros Instagram where I highlight all my brand advocates specifically. And we are also going to be launching the wedding directory, which is going to be coming up here shortly, where it is very clear that it's inclusivity for all, and all these wedding vendors have committed to that. So if you're looking, we will have sections off. So we will have an LGBTQ plus member. So like if you are a member of the community and you're a vendor, I will have a category for that. So if people are specifically looking for that, I will also have a category that is a certified category where if you are certified and you want someone certified, then you can go look for the vendor that way. And then it will just be by state. You can look people up and it will say certified by their name. And so that's where we're going with Dash Pride Wedding Pros. That's the future of it. And the starting point is becoming a brand advocate. If anybody's interested in it, you just email brandadvocate@Dash of Pride and we'll shoot you over an email.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Because people need help, right? People need help figuring out how to do work that's meaningful or how to show up. And it's easy to get complacent and just think, well, I know where my heart is, right? I know.
Yeah.
But then they don't know what to do next. They don't know. And so this is a really wonderful first step. And that's part of our mission at Wedding and Event Vendor Alliance as well, is the self-education piece. Like that's a required piece of being a member of our organization, because without the initiative and the desire to self-educate and do better, that's when we get left behind. That's when we think we're allies, but meanwhile, we are silent and gendered language all over the place because we haven't self-examined, right? So yeah, it's a really important piece. And I love like Dash of Pride certified. Like I can see it like a seal of approval, you know?
That's part of it. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's important. When we were denied at that venue, the next venue we went to, they opened us, they came to us with open arms and they were like, we love you. We want you. Our wedding planner, our caterer, everybody from that point on said, we're taking that other venue off our list. We will no longer work with that venue. Right. So as wedding professionals, ensuring that you're aligning with people is another way to be an ally. Align yourself with like-minded people. Make sure that you're not saying that you're an ally, but being okay going to a venue that isn't LGBTQ plus friendly and wouldn't welcome that. That's a great way to also start. Our vendors did that and we are still really good friends with them. We still go to our venue constantly. We meet up with our caterers. We talk to our wedding planner, and we've built a lifelong relationship with these people because they did that. They went the extra step, and they really made sure that we had the wedding we dreamed of. And I think that's really important, and that's what we're here to do at the end of the day. Our florist too. Our florist just did a bouquet for our 2-year anniversary. I reached out to her and I was like, I need some wildflowers. So yeah, everybody's important.
And that's how we can show up and help others become accountability. Sometimes we have to pull people along with us. And sometimes it's easy to assume, right? Because everyone is in their own bubble, right? That's like our world now, right? We're only with like-minded people. So it's easy to think, just assume other people think like you. You're like, oh, of course they're inclusive. Like, especially in Vermont where, I was in college when civil unions became legal. Like I can't ever remember not doing, like the entire time I've had my business, you can have a gay wedding, right? You can get married here,
Yeah.
And I think that is also where some of my complacency snuck in, is just this, it's so normal. This is so normal to me that I don't see a need to call it out, right? I don't see a need to say, oh, hey, I do this. I'm special because I do this. Everybody does this. No, that's not actually true. And so show up and say, yeah, no, I still, just because now it's only been 6 years that you've been able to, like on the national level, marriage equality. That's it's crazy that it's only been 6 years, and we can't take that for granted or act like we are here, we've arrived someplace. There's still constant showing up and creating space that's safe that needs to happen. And that might mean cutting out vendors in your life who you're finding out are not actually who you want to be and who you want to represent.
And
Oh, sorry. I just think that also wedding vendors also need to understand that their couples are coming to them with already the weight of the heteronormative society. So they're trying to envision their wedding the way they want it, but they've never seen it because it's not shown in society, right? Their kids don't grow up seeing same-sex couples or transgender couples or, non-binary. It's not in the media. So their idea of their dream wedding, they're trying to formulate, and they're combating it within themselves to say, I'm a masculine presenting woman in my everyday life, but I'm going to wear a dress on my wedding because that's what I feel like I'm supposed to do. So they're already combating their internal battles. They have their family who is probably putting pressure on them as well. So there's so much we're already coming to the table with, that if we're met by the vendors with more heteronormativity, it makes it not fun. And this is supposed to be the best day of our lives. And that's what we're asking the wedding vendors to do, is make it the best day of their lives and not add any more pressure to them or sadness or hurt. And that's what's really important.
Absolutely, 100%. And this is, as a planner myself, you are connected with your couples for an extremely long time, and making sure that they feel safe, they feel supported, regardless of anything, race, sexual orientation, identity, whatever ability, anything. You have to be able to meet every single individual and provide them that guidance and support for this very, very special day. You might be one day, but the memory and the memory of that specific day is going to last a long time. And the time behind that was extremely long. And it wasn't one day worth of planning. And it's multiple days, months, hours, and dedication that you're constantly sharing with these other individuals. So you have to make sure, you're right, make sure that you're supporting, that you're meeting when they arrive, as soon as they arrive to your inquiry box, or your inbox, so that you're providing that appropriate support. I love that.
And understanding that there are already hurdles that have been jumped over to get to this point, and that even the idea that it takes a certain level of bravery to just even reach out and say, are you available? if you're not showing up so visibly, obviously available, it's a scary thing. And I think that you're presenting it in such a really easy to understand way, right? By saying we want it to be fun. And the more serious aspect of that is we don't want to hurt people, right? And that's not what we want to do. We don't want anyone to be hurt in the process of planning an event with us, because that's the exact opposite of our objective. So if that's happening, recognizing that you're failing as a wedding professional, you have failed if someone is walking away feeling dejected, rejected, or simply not 100% clear that you were a safe option for them. You're failing when we're not doing those things. All right. Tell us some of your favorite products, because we were on your website the other day. We were like going through, talking about all the things you love. Tell us some of the things, either your favorite things or what your customers love the most.
Oh, geez. I love them all. So that's a tough one because I personally designed everything that's on the website. So I really close to home for me. I think that our most popular items are the socks, the different colored socks, because I think that's a nice way to add a little highlight to a wedding. Cake toppers are flying off the shelf. Everybody wants a cake topper. The banners are really big. We have the 2 banners where they're just the craft paper ones, but the burlap one that you can walk down the aisle with have started to become popular as well. And of course, the invitations and the teas are great, but I think the key that everybody's looking for is the cake toppers that you can't really find anywhere, the banners, and then of course the vow books are always there. So many choices. So I'd love to know what your favorites are. That's fun.
I called the socks. I was like, I bet the socks I've got to be. But we were really loving, like, all the different invitation options that you have, I think are great. The different ways of saving the date. I don't know, you can go deep on there looking at the different options.
Yeah. I love to have everyday items as well. Some totes. I love me a tote.
If you like totes, I don't think anybody has really realized the weekender bag I use one every single day. I have the rainbow one. It is like the most durable, well-made bag ever. We use it and we take it everywhere. It's amazing. I have to start designing a few for weddings. So that's on my plate for totes and bags for weddings. I haven't done it yet, but it's coming. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be great. We have so many couples. You bring in, you have to, your change of shoes, especially here in Vermont, since you're like mostly outdoors. Or, for example, we're at the top of a mountain just recently, so we needed an extra pair of hiking shoes. The whole deal. And so for couples to be able to have that, I think would be fantastic. So I'm going to be on the lookout for some weddings.
All right. I will keep you posted on that, and I will make sure that happens. The other thing about the invitations and the wedding stationery that I love is that you can see the same-sex names and it feels like home, and it's not going and seeing a bunch of straight names and trying to create not a lot of Mr. and Mrs. and trying to make it for your own. And so we have regular designs that aren't, necessarily showing any dash of pride, but that they are just, we have our outdoorsy one, we have our rustic one. And so I think that's what we're really trying to do with that. And also the key is I designed all those. So if anybody sees something that they want to tweak or see a little different, I can custom design any invitations and stationery, t-shirts, anything, which I have already done. So
that's fantastic. Okay, so that is not a small detail. That is good to know. You can customize these products. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I just recently had a couple want to do a neon wedding, so I designed a neon invitation for them. So that was pretty cool.
Fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, I'm really, I'm so glad that you had time for us today. Thank you. We're like, please talk to us. It's Pride Month and we want to show up, but we're going to keep showing up outside of Pride Month. So thank you for doing this. And thanks for, sharing your story with us and like really just the honest experience that when you when you show up to plan your wedding, you should be included, full stop, right? No matter who you are, there should be no question at this point, as they say in this day and age, right? It is still so important for us as wedding vendors to do better. So thanks for creating not just products, but your space and then your advocacy program here so that we can have a chance to do better.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for having me today. This has been wonderful. I always love getting the opportunity to talk to wedding professionals, and because my ultimate mission is to change the dialogue within the wedding industry and make it less heteronormative. If I can make it just a little bit different and make at least one person's experience better, then I've done my job. So that's what we're shooting for.
There's no doubt you've done that. And we share that vision of changing what normal weddings look like, because it's very outdated at this point to not move forward.
100%.
We're all in the business of love here. So just love.
Exactly. Love is love.
Love is love. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenna. And we will make sure to share a link. dashofpride.com is where you can get all this fabulous stuff. And yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a few people order some socks, probably myself as well.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now's the perfect time to head over to Dash of Pride and check out Jenna's shop. This is your source for LGBTQ plus friendly wedding and special event supplies from a safe and supportive source. When you click on the shop, you'll see there are a ton of items here. And remember, these are customizable, so you can reach out to Jenna with any special requests. And if you want to become a brand advocate, reach out via email, brandadvocate@dashofpride.com. And happy shopping, happy wedding planning, and big thanks for watching today. We'll see you next time.